Welcome to the Black Duck Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Wilkins. I'm excited to have you join me as I speak with a fascinating collection of folks, all of whom have in common that they've made a way for themselves by finding an intersection between thoughtful consideration and the tactile work of getting their hands dirty. This is an examination of intention, capability, and craft. It's where philosophy meets the blue-collar work ethic and where I find real value. Hey folks, welcome back to the Black Duck Revival Podcast. On this episode, I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is my favorite podcast to date. It's with somebody that I admire their work professionally very much, and I mean, they're just a rad dude. So I'm talking about Hal Herring. Many of you might know about Hal. You might listen to the podcast that he hosts, the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers podcast and blast. I mean, he's really a phenomenal interviewer. I'd be lying if I didn't give him some credit and say that when I finally decided to start this podcast, that the first few episodes I wasn't just trying to replicate Hal Herring, especially the podcast that I got to record with him for, the podcast and blast with him in Montana last year, I guess. Like, the guy was just getting the best out of me. I mean, he just understands people, and he's been a journalist for a long, long time. I often describe him as, probably one of the most well-respected outdoor writers of the last 20 years. He refers to himself as an outdoor journalist. But some of his stuff goes broader than even, just, I don't know. Journalism, to me, I interpret that as kind of like reporting. And I think some of his interpretations are just as wonderful and just as valuable. So anyway, I got the distinct pleasure of hanging out at Hal's house. I spent the night outside in his backyard in my van. We drove around. He showed me the countryside and rural, very northerly, remote Montana where he lives, a really special kind of beautiful place. And we ate black-eyed peas and elk steaks and drank cold beers and talked for hours and hours. And then the next morning, got to hang out inside of his house there in his living room and with his wife, and just like surrounded by stacks of books and old buffalo skulls, and drank coffee and talked, and then went to his office and recorded this podcast. So this one's really special to me. I enjoy it so much, and I think you will too. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Hal Herring. All right. Hey, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am on the Rocky Mountain front, nameless Montana. I'm here for the BHA rendezvous, which I'll be headed down towards Missoula, probably after this conversation. But I've had the privilege of, yesterday I got over to the house of one Hal Herring, and we had like a super rad meal, some elk steaks and black-eyed peas, and drove around and just showed me this country. Just been talking and having a rad time, and now we're sitting in Hal's office, which is, I told Hal his house is exactly what I would want Hal's Herring's house to look like, and this office is too. It's like No Country for Old Men vibes, man. There's like this paneling in here. But yeah, thank you so much, man. Distinct privilege to be here with you, Hal.
Glad to have you, man. I'm paying you back too for that long podcast we did in Missoula last year, I guess.
Yeah, dude, that was a blast. That was the most fun, one of the most fun parts of that trip.
That was cool to make that connection.
Yeah, it was. I was very distinctly aware of. It almost felt like maybe being in Europe, and then you meet another American in a bar, like meeting someone else who so intimately understands the South.
Yep.
And when we were driving over here, we were talking about how you get a bunch of recognition for your voice, and I bet especially living out here and being out here for so long, it'd be like having a Irish accent or something. You know? It's like a distinguishing characteristic. And then I had this experience where I was eating a meal with this 19-year-old dude from Kuwait like last week, and he just out of the blue, he told me that I sounded like a cowboy, like I was from Texas, because I was probably, he'd been over there in Western Oregon. I was probably the countryest thing he'd.
Yeah,
right. I just talk like me, mom, right.
Right. Well, you were pointing out to me too that the real accent, like when you hit North Idaho and especially on this side of the mountains on the east side, it's more Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a super distinctive accent. One time I was upstairs at my house and I was listening to my kids talking and they just they had that accent because I raised them here,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no, what have I done? I was like,
it's weird. I've noticed it on my daughters. So both of my kids have like little kid voices, and it's not a list, but it just kind of that. My name's Eloise,
yeah,
right? But I hear it in them. I hear this little twang,
yeah,
which even the kind of accent that I've developed over the last 20 years in Arkansas. It's different than how I used to sound, and I can still. It's just how I talk now when I'm not being cognizant of it.
Yeah.
If I pay attention to it, I can go back to that very middle America. They always say St. Louis is where the newscasters train to have the most lack of accent.
Really? Yeah.
Now I was telling you, my mom has this kind of South City, old working class accent that doesn't really exist a whole lot anymore. It's kind of become homogenized in St. Louis, but just the average accent in St. Louis is very, very neutral. But anyway, no, I've heard this twang in my kids.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's almost like I can imagine if I had married like a Brit and was living in London, and then that's what my kids sounded like.
Yeah. And they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though too. It shows you. It's so illustrative of the nurture part of being a person.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know about fitting in so much. That's part of it in high school for sure. Is not so much accent as idioms, that you use. But my father's accent was from Chambers County, Alabama, and it was fairly unadulterated. He was educated, but it was like it was a deep South accent, South Alabama. And that's way different than North Alabama for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, regionally, the differences in regional dialect and accents, like Northwest Arkansas. My accent is really some weird conglomeration of the amount of time I've spent in the Delta, which is a very different accent than like up in Northwest Arkansas.
Yep.
Right. Which is very different than deep, deep, deep South or that like aristocratic East Coast South. But it's one of the like particular things about traveling around the country that I like so much because it's like sampling local cuisine.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And it gets homogenized now, I've been reading this about H.L. Mencken. He was a journalist like in the 1920s, 1900s.
Okay.
And he wrote a whole book on how English is spoken in America, and I'm looking for it at the library. I'm not sure I need to order it and buy it, but that was at a time where I don't know, who knows? I mean, I'm just interested in that. I always have been.
Well, you know what I'm always struck by, and no one ever brings it up, and you never see it in film portrayals, but like all those, founders of the country, like a lot of them would have had like British kind of accents, right?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that movie, The Witch?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that it's a really weird movie. I can't remember what the guys made. Now, I loved it, but it was about these colonists, these Puritans. They get kicked out of the community.
Okay.
And they have to live on the edge of these woods. They filmed it in Canada or somewhere. And there's actually the devil, like all that stuff in that the Puritans were warning them about. It's happening to them, right? The dude that made that movie, he sourced all his people from his actors from London.
For the accents.
So, yeah, he said, well, I mean, it's unadulterated. They've only been here like 6 months.
Yeah.
And
then it's funny we're going on this accent road, but what are they? It was called like the Atlantic, like the old Atlantic accent. You know, it's what you associate with like old newsreels. Here today we're going to be like this, Brian,
Yep.
and you got to go down there and get a bag of peanuts and watch the Crackerjack game.
Yeah.
And that has gone away, but that
Yep.
was a way that was influenced by this hyper regional holdover from British
You bet.
style English, and then with the proliferation of like radio and TV, it started at the hard edges got taken off of stuff.
Yep.
Which is so cool to go to places. You ever talk to someone who talks that like Gullah Geechee patois?
I've heard it. Yep.
Dude, that's some wild stuff,
Yep.
man. Like that's really wild.
Yep.
And I dig that it still exists.
Yeah. I think one of that Anthony Bourdain shows on like Bahia in Brazil.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite one of his shows because they speak Portuguese with that West African influence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it makes them these incredible folk songs. They also have these very clear Portuguese up in the Northeast, but it's like that. It's unadulterated accent, but in another language.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. I was thinking, that whole coast, dude, that if you go up to Rhode Island to the original fishermen,
Yeah.
and then you come down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
Portsmouth Island, Hatteras Island, Ocracoke, that's one of the most like strong accents left, and it's because of the isolation of that
Yeah.
that coast. Hatteras has an incredible accent from the original Hatteras people.
Really.
Yeah.
That's. I wonder if surely someone has done some sort of long form study on this.
I would love to see that Edisto and all that country where the Gullah.
Yeah.
I did a story about this football player from there, and I wished I could remember what it was, but they were raised on wild game and what they could forage.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I didn't ever get to interview him. It was just a story about him, but it was like they were so interesting. I mean,
Well, I feel like there's this kind of growing interest in Gullah Geechee stuff recently. But that South Carolina coast, like almost all black people can trace themselves to like right there.
Yep.
That was like the big entry port, right?
Yep.
And as you have like the black diaspora across the country, if you start doing this 23andMe stuff, like people, people that are considered black, like they start having, miscegenation, whatever. Like there's, you just start looking at the DNA and it's different, right? You get over there, man, and it's like straight over West Africa, and it's weird to find these cloistered pockets of stuff like that. Like my dad did the testing, and he was 99% West African.
well,
Like blackety black.
can you
right?
get to where in West Africa and stuff like that?
You can get, you can kind of get like what the country is now, but that's really among the many tragedies of the Atlantic slave trade, that the taking away that ability to trace back to a specific place,
Right. Because they were harvested, like you're captured from all over.
and then
Yep.
all forced together. And people speak different languages, people that have different religions, like vastly different religions, different understandings of the world. Like someone might be from the Ivory Coast, someone else might be from far interior or northern or just whatever. And so it just within a generation or two, it just became one thing.
That's actually fascinating when you think about that.
It's we talked about it last time, but I'd say and I would say that I subscribe to a lot of ideas of like Pan-Africanism and just this idea that there is a linked a historical belonging together of like black people throughout the world, specifically traced to slavery of the last few hundred years and kind of how that people were dispersed. But I'd really argue that if you're talking about a homeland of a people, African Americans, right? I'm talking about black Americans, that the South, tragic as the beginnings were, but like that's what I think of as like where my people came from. I don't have like a personal connection to Africa. I have a personal connection to Arkansas and Mississippi.
You bet.
Because that's where these people created something new. Even the language, stuff that we associate as Southern language, words like ain't and y'all, that is people that don't speak English learning English, and instead of saying you all, saying y'all, and that becoming so commonplace that it becomes this dominant lingual form.
Yep.
And then
totally totally influences the every aspect of the culture in which it finds itself.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's inseparable. Now I go back. I keep thinking about. I kept in touch with this woman. She's a Patricia Jabe Wesley. She's a Liberian person who came over during the Civil Wars.
Okay.
In the 80s, 90s. The big wars in the 90s. They call them the Taylor Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And Patricia's one of her poems that I is in my head all the time. The calabash now broken, the palm wine spilled out across the world. Was her poem about West Africa.
Yeah.
And she's a beautiful poet. If anybody's listening to this and wants to look up Patricia Wesley's books, I had them all, and I still read them. I still love her poetry. And she was, I don't know where she is now. She's raised her kids here with her husband, but she was from Liberia. She was Grebo. She spoke Grebo, I think, as a child, and a beautiful poet. Right out of this history and stuff, but more modern.
Yeah.
And it's still influencing stuff now. I got into that because the mayor of Helena is also from Liberia. And
Mayor of Helena, Montana?
Yeah, Wilmot Collins.
Really?
He's done a good job. He was a refugee of the Taylor Wars as well.
Mm-hmm. So was there like a pocket of folks that came up to Montana?
Not so much. Patricia when I met Patricia Wesley, she was in Kalamazoo, Michigan teaching. But Wilmot came to Carroll College. Okay. As he had both of them had a very harrowing experience in those wars. It was a pretty rough gig.
Yeah.
And both of them are what I would call like super survivors. Like people that are able to negotiate survival, where a lot of people would probably not be around. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I served on a jury with Wilmot and got to know him. He was actually doing he was doing a psychology of child soldier study at Carroll College.
Okay.
Was how he stayed around Helena and got to be the mayor.
Dude.
He was the foreman of our jury too.
We were talking about it yesterday when we were pulling back up to your house from driving around. I think that fascination that we both have with, and I feel like I have to make this qualifier. Like I could spend days telling you about all the ways I think America is fucked up. Mm-hmm. But the fact that dude has that story and ends up in that place, in that position, is so American.
Well, I wish more of our more liberal friends would talk with Wilmot, about like why is America so messed up?
Yeah.
And you go like, well, I will tell you why it is not so messed up, and we'll recognize the failings.
Sure.
And then I'll tell you about the successes.
Well, and you know what I think is
Patricia would tell you the same thing.
They're also coming at it from so in America, we do this thing where like, if you're darker than khaki, you're black. Right? I think a lot of people don't know that there's kind of like a tremendous amount of angst between black people from Africa and African Americans. Mm-hmm. Right? Like
I'm sure.
Dude, I think there's a perception that Africans think that they're better than black people from America, and I think there's the perception that that black Americans are coddled compared to the realities of a post-colonial Africa. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of tension that hell, I've run into it. The college I went to, I was talking to someone, and that's happening right now, where there's a bunch of African immigrants there, and them and the black Arkansans don't really mix that well.
Interesting.
They don't get along with each other, right?
I would say that was inevitable, though.
Why do you think so?
Because people, we all do it. Give ourselves, like when you hear somebody's like real sick or they died, you go, well, I don't drink that many Cokes and I don't smoke.
Yeah.
And so, like, people are looking for ways to establish themselves, right? Their individual, like, power. And you would say, well, I'm from Nigeria and I fought my way to the United States through a scholarship. Mm-hmm. Well, these guys are just born here.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have the same motivation and power as I do.
Sure.
You know, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of human nature stuff involved in that.
And which might also blind you to the history that the people that you're, considering yourself more motivated than, right?
Yeah. You also might, on individual basis, you might be more motivated than people that you encounter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like all that stuff happens too.
Or less.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to double back to when you're talking about Patricia because, that's something I've really noticed is, and I follow this Instagram account and it's called Poetry is Not a Luxury.
Mm-hmm.
And, Americans 100 years ago were much more, 150 years ago maybe too, were much more consumed with poetry.
Yep.
Like the big American poets were like the rock stars of their day.
Yep.
And it's not a thing now. Like
it operates in it's just as good as it ever was, and it operates in obscurity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you get like little flashes. There was that young black female poet that just kind of had like a little spark recently on social media. But I mean, most people wouldn't be able to tell you I couldn't tell you who the poet laureate is right now.
Maya Angelou.
I
don't know.
No, I think maybe a while ago, man.
Yeah.
But man, I really dig it for the succinctness that it can that it can bring. And because we've talked about it too, like I really respond to lyricism in writing.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, the poets of our age are like, you were talking about Wilco the other day, and I was thinking about the Turnpike Troubadours, Good Lord Laurie.
Second time that band's come up on this trip.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking that is a more available like form of it, Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, this happened the other day. I had a newspaper contacted me, and they wanted to do a profile of this woman here who's a forestry. She's a fire lookout.
Okay.
It's on this really, really dramatic mountain called Patrol Mountain. It's like 5,000 feet of gain to walk up to the lookout. And she's done this for 25 years, and they wanted to do a profile of this woman. She's a really interesting person, and I can't do it. I'm too busy working on this book. I'm under contract, and I found this guy who I barely know, but he's a great poet. He's a young guy, and he's hungry enough to take this assignment,
Yeah.
And I did it because of the art of compression. And the newspaper wanted 1,000 words on this woman's 25 years on Patrol Mountain, and I was like, that's a hard assignment, right? And I thought, who can do that? And it's this guy Noah Davis, who's a poet, and I called him, and he wants to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that that idea of compression has it's having to subscribe to that. So I'm doing I'm writing fairly regular for the Sitka website, right? And then sometimes I put in little excerpts or whatever in their catalogs, but those basically need to be 1,000 words, right? 850 to maybe I get to 1,200, right? Which I found very difficult at first. It felt very limiting, and I didn't know how. I was having trouble doing it. Like they were kicking my ass. The Sitka wasn't, but just the assignments.
It's why it's so hard to make money. At that game, right?
But it's helped me tremendously because it makes me cut out all like sift through the chaff.
Yep.
And then when I just did this article I turned in for Backcountry Journal, where they were like, you want to be 3,000 words, like whatever. It was great because I just kind of had room to breathe with it.
Yep.
But I still had been like in this training of being succinct. So it's helped me a lot in the last year. I leave the superfluous stuff to the podcast, and then when I'm like getting that written word, I try and make it as succinct as I can and take all the shit that doesn't have to be in there out. And even to the point that I realized that I was starting to write songs again. Like I had stopped writing songs for a long, long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I started writing songs again, and they have a lot in common with the stuff I used to write, but I think they're better because
Well, you practiced.
well, yeah, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to force it.
Yep.
You know, I feel less need to impress people. Like I'm smart. You know, look how clever I am.
Right.
You know,
Right.
which is, I mean, some of that maybe is maturity or just exhaustion from not accomplishing it. You know?
Right. That's it. But that's time. You know. I mean, everybody wants to demonstrate how clever they are and have like what do they call it? I don't even know what language it is. The mot just the right word.
Mm.
You know, there's an old interview with Tom McGuane where the woman says that she says it seemed like you're obsessed with the mot just whatever that is, the right word.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I don't think I am. I try to make it as like he said. I don't believe in writing as building a monument of accretion. You know, like barnacles growing on a boat.
Yeah.
He said, I believe you're supposed to. He said, I believe that people reading my stuff have a lot of other stuff they need to be doing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's, buddy, I could write that on here on the whiteboard, like for me as a writer. I believe that whoever picks up the stuff I'm writing and to read it is very busy. And that better be worth their time.
Yeah. But that also, I've kind of been subscribing to this idea of like 85%. Like if that last 15% of trying to make something absolutely perfect will kill you, and I don't know that there's that much gained from it.
I agree with that.
You know?
No, I think you're on to something. And I totally agree with that. But that's also good for when you're working on deadline.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to do. You're going to send your editor at that 85% most of the time. And so I think you're on to something.
Yeah,
there.
I think that's what probably did it is dude, just the deadlines. Shit. I'll tell you what was bad too, man, is when I figured out that like if I was a day late on deadlines, it wasn't ending the world.
That'll kill you too.
Yeah,
I did that. I've done that too.
That's I really had to like reel myself back from that, you know, because I do kind of work with this, like I get it done with the immediacy of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Natalie Krebs said something to me as well, which was about that not having stuff in on time is, you know, you're affecting other people, especially people like this stuff has to be timely, go to this person, that, whatever.
Right.
It's bigger than you, right? It really starts to demonstrate like a lack of consideration or class.
Well, also, depending on how busy those editors are, they'll shit can you. They'll move on, and you'll never know it.
Yeah.
You just come up in the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "I don't know, man. I can't deal with that kind of madness. Let's
Yeah,
move
yeah,
on."
yeah.
Who's gonna show up on time with it really good? It may not be, you know, it may not be Tolstoy, but Tolstoy didn't show up on time last time.
Yeah. No, dude, I was really reckoning with that a lot a few months ago, and it's important too. It's important too to every once in a while take a deep breath and like really smell your own shit. You know what I mean?
Yep. This is not really very great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's time to wash my ass.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
you can make a bunch of excuses or you can just get a washcloth, right?
Yep. The excuses are the just as bad as like saying the deadline don't matter. The excuses will kill you.
I really do think that one of the worst things a person can do is we all lie to people, right? But when you start believing and embodying your own lies, that's real, real dangerous, man.
Yep.
When you're creating false narratives that you subscribe to, you're in dangerous ground.
Yep.
Which is like what you were talking about when you were the Roto-Rooter guy, and you were fine with it while you were wearing a shirt that had somebody else's name on it.
Yep.
When they gave you one with your name on it, you had to go, man.
Yep. I just didn't want to be that.
Yeah.
And I, like I told you, I actually liked the job. it just was. I wanted to be a writer, and I didn't want to do Roto-Rooter anymore. And I still had to. I just thought about this. So about not in that long, either before or right after that job, I was working for this guy who was a chainsaw artist.
Okay.
And I was going and cutting these huge cottonwood logs and loading them on this big boom truck that he had bought. All of this stuff was like shoestring to max, like we were running chainsaws with the teeth broken off and stuff because nobody wanted to buy another chain. And I won't say this guy's name, but he made this very famous statue sculpture of a mama bear and two baby bears out of this huge cottonwood log. We had scaffolding all around it and stuff. And he would climb up there every day. He wasn't a young guy, and he was kind of his last chance of making any money, He found this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making these things called the Take Me Home Bears. It was this thing you did, cut out of these cottonwood logs with the chainsaw, like a paint by numbers.
Okay.
And it come out, and it's like this funny little bear face or something like that he could sell, right? And I was doing that. I can't remember how this came up, but he said to me one time, he said, I'm a lot older than you. Well, he was like twice as old as me. And he said, I got to tell you, you make a lot of excuses when stuff ain't done right. And I was like, it really hurt me, right? Because that's kind of a self-knowledge that I didn't want.
Yeah.
And he said, I was in the Marines and stuff, and he said they tell you to take this pill box, and you go and you try to take the machine gun. Right. And he goes, you don't get to go like, I don't know, man. It was raining. My gun wasn't working and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He said, you should look at that. And I did. And I mean, I'm telling you the story today. This is like 20, 30 years later, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never forgotten it. And I often say to myself, let's stop doing that. And I still, it's a lifelong practice.
Well,
right?
yeah, you got to. It's not that we're all going to engage in it. But I mean, I do think there's something bordering on noble about being able to admit that. And also like admitting it publicly takes some of the sting out of it and then lets you double down.
I think I had put these saw. He was obsessed with not getting the saws in this gravel. We were working in this pea gravel with all the things, and I had dulled the hell out of this chainsaw chain. And I had said something like, "Well, there's no way to keep it up out of there if you want to do this, this particular design."
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, he thought that was ridiculous. Of course, there's a way to keep the saw out of the gravel.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it different or work harder.
Yeah.
Or just take the responsibility for it.
Yep. But but I've never forgotten that. And then when I was driving a boom truck and he had mentioned to me, he said, my telephone line going in my trailer over here is lower than that top of that boom truck. And he said, so you got to cut through. And I was at the end of the day one day, tired as hell,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I drove that thing I had parked. And I got there, I called him up. The phone wouldn't work right. I was like, where is Don? And I had taken that phone line out, right, with the big, with the lifter, the boom.
Dude, that buddy of mine I was telling you about yesterday, Jay Byer, a photographer based in Utah. We were hunting and we were driving around and it was like I was just getting my ass kicked up in the mountains, right? Like I was just out of shape, kind of fat or whatever, and get my ass kicked. And I was talking to Jay, and what I was doing was making a bunch of excuses, right? I was telling him like, like all these, it's just been the year's been so hard. We're lamenting all this shit, right? And Jay is like a super kind, empathetic person, but he was just like, dude, I'll tell you the same thing I tell my kid. You're the only person that can change it.
Nice.
And it was exactly the right thing I needed to hear, and I've thought about it so many times since then. And it's I could whine about whatever disadvantage, and then I could also say like, dude, sometimes I'm even stopping and looking at what I'm doing right now, and I'm like, dude, this is the gnarliest shit on earth. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, it's the gnarliest stuff on earth. Right now, I've been gone for 3 weeks almost, man. Sleeping in my van. I woke up the other morning, I don't know, somewhere in eastern Oregon. was like pulled up this one of those wide spots in those forest roads, those windy roads, and I'm like next to this beautiful, like picturesque river running through, and I wake up and I'm kind of like in a fog, and I look through the windshield, and there's these 2 mule deer that are just chilling right out there, and it's like 4:55 in the morning, and it's already sunlight out there, and there's like this fog, and I'm holy shit, dude.
Yep. I get to do this.
Oh my God, yeah, man.
I thought,
and what's what? Oh, I got a deadline.
Yeah.
Someone's letting me talk about whatever I want.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I hear you.
You need to kick your own ass and then go and kick your ass again and then go work hard.
Right. Yeah, I've thought about that. Right, and working on this book too. Just like you know how lucky you are to be able to do this. And even though, it has totally. I was getting ready to go do your thing, man. I was like getting ready to start like bemoaning the gift, right?
Yeah.
But it has kicked my butt. But it's still like, can you believe it? And I was telling you down there this winter, and then I got home in time to go do this wild ski trip in the Rocky Mountains. When I was in the winter, I was down south, in which case I was waking up in the rain going, I wish I was home in Montana. I'd go skiing.
Yeah, yeah.
And meanwhile, you're like researching the origins of the Tuskegee National Forest, which is something I've always wanted to do all my life, right? And I don't know, it's hard to be happy. That's what I talk to I'm lucky to have some friends who are like 78 years old.
Yeah.
And I can ask them questions about that. And that's one of the consensus. It's hard to recognize when things are going well. And when they're going really badly, you're too busy to trying to fix them.
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
Well, there's I don't think there's I think it's going to be human nature to to just get a little whiny, which is totally fine. It's the wallowing in it it's just unproductive.
Unbearable.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And nobody wants to be around it. And you can Boy Who Cried Wolf with it, where you just exhaust people with that shit. And I think I've done that in my life.
I have too.
I've definitely cut people off that were doing it to me. You
know that Todd Snyder song where he goes, I'm really stressed, and his girlfriend goes, oh, man, just give it a rest. You know that song?
Yeah. I've listened to a bunch of Todd Snyder.
It's an incredible. He goes, how are you going to I can't remember the lyrics, but he goes, I've been feeling really stressed.
Yeah, give it a rest, man.
Yeah, he goes, give it a rest. Yeah. You can't do that really. But like I said, it's a lifelong practice. We were talking about writing, and I have never won the battle where I just come in, punch the clock at 9:00, and start producing some readable prose. Mm-hmm. Never won that battle. Always put it off. Always come in, try to do it, read the news, pick up something else, and then I go, oh no, it's like 3:00. Oh no,
yeah,
and start working and produce some readable prose. But I've always, and every day though, I try to fight that battle, and there are days, individual days, when I win.
It's incredibly heartening to hear, man.
Yeah.
What Natalie Krebs told me that too, man. She told me that because she's like really a very good journalist, right?
She's a very good journalist, and she's pretty. She really produces quite a bit.
Yeah, and she told me that she's pulling all-nighters to get stuff in. It's good to aspire to not be like that, but it's good to know that people that you respect what they're doing, it's still happening to them.
Yeah.
Are you at the point where you consider yourself to be good at writing?
No, that's a daily battle too. I'm at the point where I've known a few tricks, and I have a few formulas that have worked before. That when I'm stuck, I can rely on those, and that's like in creation of scene.
Yeah.
Instead of telling people, the show don't tell rule or whatever. I can draw on things I've done before and say that worked. I'm stuck. I can't reinvent the wheel. I'm on deadline, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna write a scene, and once you start writing, there is a kind of psychic breakthrough there that lasts for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and you get stuff done. And I've done it so many times. But, yeah, dude, I used to have to Google my stories to prove to myself that I had done this before successfully.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's kind of a painful way. It's kind of a painful way to try to make a living, right? Because you do sort of reinvent the thing every day. And it's hard. It's so hard.
Well, it's what it is. We talked about this before we started recording, man. It's that perpetual angst.
Yep.
Right. That is, I find to be a motivating factor.
Yep.
And like the downside of that is that you get to be angsty.
Yep.
You get to be anxious, or there are some people that are unaffected in a way that I cannot comprehend.
Yep.
Just like shit doesn't bother them. They're not wringing their hands about stuff.
Probably not waking up at 4:05 with
Yeah.
their head showing them like horror movies of their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of their own making.
What's crazy too is most of my nightmares aren't like someone murdering me. It's that I've behaved in a way that I'm ashamed of. And
Yep.
like how, I'll be in my dreams being like, oh my God, how do I get away from this
Yeah.
all-consuming shame?
Yep.
But the good part of that is when you wake up and it's a dream and just the relief.
Yep.
You're like, oh my God, I didn't do that thing.
Yeah.
Which is, that's probably diagnostic of
Probably
who
is. I
am.
was just thinking one of mine is always things left undone that are going to create a resulting catastrophe, but you can't really figure out exactly what they were. Mm-hmm. Things left undone, and that's deadline pressure. That's ingrained.
We've also talked about how, I think by probably your standards and by a lot of people's standards, you've managed to carve out this really kind of magical life of self-determination and travel and going places and meeting people and whatever. But that has not transferred itself over into the realm of, financial stability, right?
It has not. Yeah.
But
experientially, yes.
Yeah. Do you are you at a point where you ever wish it had been more comfortable financially, or do you think that we all make compromises, we all negotiate for what we're doing in our lives, right? Do you feel like this has been like a good, well-rounded compromise?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I asked my kids that, did they ever feel deprived of stuff because of my choices? And my daughter said no. My son said at times. And he's working full time, and I notice he's real into making some. He's a cowboy, so he's not trying to make $1 million, but he's real into having a nice truck and making payment, and paying stuff off and making money. He works all the time, and I think maybe that's a result of some of that. But no, I'm not sure, man. That's too hard. Experientially for me, it was a huge deal. I'm fishing in Alaska. I was free to go to Alabama when my dad was alive. My father was still kicking, and work down there for him and do stuff on our farm. I was free.
Yeah.
But the freedom comes with the cost, in my case, of financial stability of any sort.
Yeah.
And there were moments of where you just don't have any money.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about that,
yeah.
and what that really feels like, and that's tough. There's a kind of despair there that I don't know. Maybe it's good for you to experience it. I don't think so.
I realized that what I think I was starting to do, or maybe I wasn't starting, I was just doing it, is I was kind of complaining to my friends that just had I got a lot of friends that make six figures, right? 6 figures in Arkansas is pretty good, especially if you and your wife both make 6 figures, right?
Right.
And one, I don't think anybody really wants to hear that. And two, I mean, I don't want their life, you know, and
Right.
it's not even a condemnation of their life, but it ain't for me.
Well, here's the thing. So there's a trick in the question. There's a catch-22 or whatever, because I kind of tried to do other stuff that would make you more financially stable.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't, I just, for some reason, I couldn't do that. And I always considered that a weakness, by the way. I'm not this guy who goes, no, it's going to be the artist or nothing. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I considered that a weakness. Not being able to take a regular job if needed and stay on it. I considered that a weakness, not a strength. But it was my weakness. You know, I was great at seasonal work where, like, I was telling you, pine cone harvest and working the white bark job, best job I ever had, running tree planting crews, doing trails, because there was an end to it.
Yeah.
And then you would spend all your money and you'd be broke again. But there was an end to it, and I could go back to a self-directed life.
Yeah, me and Marianne are trying to find that balance, and I don't actually feel like we're that far off from it. You know, my push to try and do that was me being a firefighter, like getting this municipal firefighting job, which the work I enjoyed.
I was going to say those stories are. I mean, that's a great way to make it.
Yeah, man, and you know, when I got into it, I didn't realize how coveted a job it was.
Right.
I mean, like, I worked with dudes. They applied every year for 10 years to get that job.
Yeah,
and that wasn't the case for me. Like, I tested. I didn't realize how many people tested for it. And you know, you're talking about where I was at. Like 1,200 people went for the test. You go to Dallas, man, there's like 6,000 people trying to get that job. And because there's a stability to it, right? And
is that a union job?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good job.
It's a union job, man. Like, pretty good benefits, like good pension. Shit, my first captain, he like got out of high school, went to the Navy, did his 4 years, got on the fire department. He was like 22, and he was 48 when I was working under him. And he had one more year he had to give it to where he could retire, and he had busted ass. He had gotten up to like captain and then worked a bunch of overtime and set his pension, and so he could retire at 50 and get $98,000 a year in perpetuity.
Wow,
living in a place that doesn't have the same cost of living as like some of these joints out here.
Yeah. Wow.
And dude, honestly, the disadvantage he gave himself is when he was 47, he met this like 30-year-old woman and had a kid. Mm-hmm. And so he had like a 22-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And I said, man, you were free.
Yeah.
You were chilling, dog.
Yeah. That's wow.
And now you're, and I mean, dude, he was obsessed with his kid. Like, he was
glad to have it.
So joyful when he was around him, man, and just tickled, be sitting there giggling.
Mm-hmm.
But no, man, that job, and I had resigned myself to it, and maybe one day on this podcast I'll like go into all like how I got out of it, but like, I got run out the fire department, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got run out of there, and is probably the hardest shit I've ever been through, and ultimately so good for me because I was about to give in and just compromise who I was, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just gonna be somebody that was not authentic to me,
mm-hmm.
and the way that I was having to be to survive. I mean, it's a giant frat house, right? You spend a 30-year life living in basically a giant frat house, mm-hmm. mixed in with all the machismo of all these type A personalities.
Right.
That is a prerequisite for going into burning buildings, right?
Right.
But like, what I was bringing home, the always being on the offensive, like brutalizing somebody verbally before they got a hold of you, like, that don't work when you come home.
Yep.
And then seeing that turn too, to where, and I always thought that I didn't do it near as much as some of those guys, but when I got a little bit of time on, when I had rookies under me, I'd let them, I wouldn't say stuff. And then whenever, some kid would like be feeling himself, and since I didn't ride his ass, he'd try and get one in on me.
Yeah.
And so then I'd just fucking destroy his ass, man. I mean, just grind him down to nothing, which is it's not good, but it was the way the system was set up.
Right.
And so I can't change the system. I just had to get out of the system. And I was trying to stay like the fire department actually had to throw me out like white blood cells.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could not tolerate me the same way I could not tolerate it.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting to do something that's way more representative of who I am. And
well, it's kind of like we were just talking about. It's like I can't imagine really what job I would have had. You know,
that you could stay with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an incredibly adversarial person, and I whatever that hormone is that's released when all the elk are running in the same direction, and they all feel good about it, or like at a political rally, you know, and people are like, "Yeah, Bill," you know, "I love Bill," you know, and you're like bonding with all these people because you all love Bill. Mm-hmm. I don't have that.
Yeah, just got a contrarian streak.
I have a contrarian streak, and it's never been contrarian for contrarian's sake. And I can spot that a mile away.
Yeah.
It's never been that. It's like, and I don't want to try to be self-righteous either, but it's like an insistence on what is real, what is true, regardless of what I wish it was, hope it was, believe it is. What is it actually, you know? And that just makes it pretty difficult. It's like in the bullshit meter of somebody who's done journalism for a long time is just like pegged off the 10, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like going, dude, I find like that True Believers book, that Hofer, that was like, I was reading that. It's like studying an alien species of like these people who like believe in political movements, and they, you know, I mean, I get it. It's not like military. I get people in the military where you go, all right, go assault that castle.
Yeah.
That is totally, that's in my DNA. Like my dad was in World War II. All our people were in the Civil War, you know, running into the guns. I get that part. But the idea of just believing in something that's not true because it's convenient and stuff, or saying stuff like that. Like we were talking about being in the PR business, where you gotta give them the story, whether it's true or not. And I could never do that.
Well, it's because there's something in your nature that's untenable, and you know, like you can call it bullshitting or dressing stuff up. It's just lying, right? Or I talk about like authenticity a lot, but
cherry picking.
Yeah. And it's, you know, that idea of being adversarial. I mean, I've got it too. It's lessened. I don't feel the need to put my finger in people's eye the way I used to when I was young. Right. Like I used to pick fights, I think, a lot. And and that was based a lot in discomfort with myself, I came to realize. And so as I've gotten slightly more comfortable.
Yeah, I get that too. I see that.
So
I know that one.
But I also think that it's not that there's a better way. There's just a better way to be yourself. Like that's just part of me, man. Like,
right.
And a lot of the strengths or what, you know, that I have come from that.
Yep.
But like everything, there's two sides of it.
Yep.
And so keeping that shit in check, being able to work hard is a strength of mine.
Yep.
But I'll work to the point that I neglect shit that I shouldn't.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And like Mary Ann's is good on about that and telling me, you know, she doesn't care how much we have if, you know, the person that she's linked her life to and like had children with is not there to share in the small regular things.
Right. Yep, I get that. There's no it's hard to find any kind of balance like that. One of the things that got me on this long project I'm on is I was accustomed to doing stories where I disappear into it completely. And I ain't taking out no trash. I'm not. If I'm cutting firewood for the year, it's after like because I couldn't work that day for some reason. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty much unreachable during those times. And that was okay because those times ended. And we were talking about like when you're at home, you're very present for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, those times would end. And then I would be at home and we'd go to fish the Missouri River for catfish and we'd stay out 3 days, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of worked out. There was a kind of weird perverted balance
Yeah.
You know, but that it's dangerous. It's hard to be self-directed and be married and have a family. Unless you can't do anything else, right?
Yeah. Which is, I always thought there's this guy who's a really, really awesome songwriter, this Arkansas dude. His name's Adam Fawcett. And, I mean, to the point that it's worth people listening to this guy. Like, fucking amazing. Gorgeous voice. And also this weird juxtaposition with what he looks like and what you'd think he sounds like. And then this voice that is, I mean, getting up in there to like angelic being a descriptor, right? But I remember he told me this one time. He was like, "This is all I can do. The only thing I can do is write songs and sing." Mm-hmm. And I like that, and also it bums me out because I like the idea of being able to. I know that I can do other stuff. It's not even a matter of I can't do stuff. It's that I don't want to. And I would be diminishing parts of myself, and I think a lot of the best parts of myself, whatever it is I do have to contribute to, this
that's a
shit show,
That's a real thing. What do you give me what you got.
Yeah.
And maybe that, I mean, if that ain't selling insurance and making that early six figures, then that's what you can't sell the insurance.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance, as they like to say, to this conversation, because there ain't one answer.
Yeah, and it's absolutely. It's not just like individually based; it's situationally based.
Situationally based, and I was thinking about we were talking about yesterday too. It's like balance in that. There's a yoga thing. I hear this voiceover all the time, and they go like, when doing those standing on one foot poses, balance is not fixed, The world changes, and the concept of balance changes with it. And I was like, that's pretty profound,
Yeah.
And that's it in a nutshell. I mean, you could use that for a metaphor for the rest of your life too. But standing on one leg with your in the whatever pose, right? And balance is not fixed, and you're not going to always find it.
Well, the wobble's part of it, right?
The wobble's part of it. There you go.
Like
There's the songwriter part.
I go through these stages where, and Marianne has seen this a million times, to where, like, I'll get hardcore working out, right? And I can be really good at it, right? And like run a whole bunch and lift weights and like eat super clean, and then I wobble to the other side to where I'm like as disgusting an American consumer of nourishment as I can possibly be.
Yeah.
Right. To hell, I've seen it happen on this trip. Right. Like I was living real clean, working out and stuff, and then I'm like, I've leaned a little too far into the eating bullshit on this deal. And so when I get back home, I'm going to have to swing it back. And so I think for me, I'm trying to maintain the middle of that metronome.
Yeah.
But with the understanding that it will wax and wane. Like most of the time I don't imbibe, right? Like I used to hang out and kind of party a lot when I was younger, and then I just stopped. And man, I hadn't drank a beer since like November. I drank half a beer in Utah and just like couldn't even finish it. And man, there's been some times on this trip where like I thought the right thing to do was to get a head buzz,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about like falling down drunk. Guy Clark described Townes Van Zandt in this way on that. You're seeing a documentary, Heartworn Highways.
Oh yeah.
And Guy Clark, he says about Townes Van Zandt, he's like, man, I saw him do stuff when he was, little drunk, a little stoned, man, just fucked up. That was amazing.
Yep.
And I know exactly what he's talking about, and I don't think that's the way to be most of the time, but sometimes, like we were talking about with your wife yesterday, on a beautiful, the first warm kind of into spring day in Arkansas, where all you smell at night is privet blossoms and honeysuckle.
Yeah.
Like sitting there and drinking half a bottle of cheap wine with the woman you're in love with is the absolute right thing to do.
Yeah, you bet. I think about that Townes Van Zandt thing a lot though, because he wrote, the old saying, he was sucking on the bottle and now the bottle's sucking on him.
Yep.
like the end of that thing is so horrible. Like where he's like at one point he's in a wheelchair begging him to give him some whiskey.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You keep promising, and you're basically done." Like it's the worst thing ever. And I think it's fascinating. It's the old. I did a series on these young people that are all on this drugs, these methamphetamine. This is early in the methamphetamine thing, and one of the gal's mothers described it as the ultimate vampire story.
Oh, wow.
Because a vampire in mythology can't attack you. You have to invite it in. It taps on the window, right?
Yeah.
It's up there flying around like whatever, dark shadows or whatever, but you have to invite it in. And I watched that Townes Van Zandt documentary, and he wanted to be this hell-bent, drunken, like anarchist, wild man artist. And he practiced that until he got it. And then it got him.
Yeah, he also struck me, and I don't know the guy. I didn't know the guy, obviously, or whatever. But
I listened to his son's podcast, which is great.
JT Van Zandt?
Yeah.
Which is, man, that he looks so much like his daddy. It's like,
does he? I've never met him. Yeah.
Have you ever seen his picture?
Yep.
Dude, I mean, he looks like, I've never met him
right.
either, but it's, as they would say in the South, like, you look like your daddy spit you out.
Yep. You sure do favor.
But, man, yeah, he did that hard living stuff, but he just strikes me as such a beautiful, gentle, innately good kind of person, you know? That I think came through with all that.
It did. And I think what you're doing is you're so sensitive. I think Bob Dylan's an interesting question in there because he was able to channel all that poetry and that weird energetic currents in the world without it destroying him.
Yeah.
But buddy, that's a real rarity.
Yeah. It's living life on a razor's edge.
It is. And like with Townes Van Zandt, I think he had to shut down. I mean, eventually you become addicted to alcohol,
Yeah.
But he just had to he probably had to shut down parts of that sensitivity in order to make it, after playing at night. Who knows?
I'll be honest with you. I revere the guy so much, and I'm not a person who really like reveres folks but his songs have been so influential in my life in so many different ways that I actually feel myself, I kind of don't want to make too many suppositions about him because it's
correct.
I feel like it's not my place, what I mean?
I agree with that.
And like if we're being real, we are probably not far removed from his son. I know people that know JT Van Zandt and think he's a great dude,
Right.
And I don't want to be talking about somebody that one day I might meet's daddy.
Right. I hear you. Yeah. I was just thinking of the curse of sensitivity though.
Yeah. It's, ooh, dude, you're hitting close to home. I don't think this is revealing too much, but I was like in a counseling situation, and this person was describing me as a very masculine man, right? Mm-hmm. And I hear that a lot. Like there's this interpretation that I'm like really tough or like physically tougher than the average. Mm-hmm. Which I really don't know if that's true. It's more a result of the depredation of the average American man than toughness I necessarily have.
The bar's falling.
Yeah. But I was telling him too. I was like, dude, I just feel like this super squishy, just really sensitive person. Like what I'm doing in my private moments is no one would be like, that dude is, man, that's a real rugged American man. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, this dude is a goofy nerd. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And it's, I think it's actually, I think it's a strength.
I think it's a strength. I think it's dangerous like anything else. That, like people who are incredibly empathic. That's a difficult path in the world.
Yeah. No, Marianne is like that, and I've seen it. She has to work hard not to be consumed by other people's shit.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I kind of I have to work hard not to be consumed by my own shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to this interview with Harry Cruz, who's that Georgia writer.
Okay.
He's died in the last 20 years or so, but he wrote a book called A Childhood, the biography of a place that's gotten, I was just reading the New Yorker, it's gotten famous again. It's a great book.
Okay.
And he had this interview where he said, I have tape recorded myself interviewing people, and I take on their accent by the end of the interview.
Yeah.
He said, I literally I'm such an empath that, and it was difficult for him. I mean, he was a drunk. He was an alcoholic in his later years, but that makes sense to me. Like that, it's very hard to be empathic and sensitive enough to do the songwriting or the writing or the art or whatever. Like Townes Van Zandt did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to Be Good Tanya's doing his version of Waiting Around to Die.
Yeah, that's
and it put me right back to Townes Van Zandt. Like I went back to starting listening to all that.
Dude, that you listen to? We'll just talk about Townes Van Zandt somewhere. Have you listened to Live at the Old Quarter?
Nope.
Dude, that is, and to anybody listening, that's my
say
number
that
one.
again.
It's called Live at the Old Quarter.
Okay.
When I first got it, it was a 2-disc CD set, and it's Townes Van Zandt just by himself playing like in a bar. I think like either Old Austin or right outside of there. It's like 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear the tinkling glasses and stuff. Real cool vibe. And he has like it's like got the in between song banter and like him telling some like goofy jokes. Like he's got this joke in there that says, "What's small and white and crawls up your leg? Uncle Ben's perverted rice." Right, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And man, it is I think still for me, man, it's like the single greatest collective just presentation of a musician.
Cool. I can't wait to see
like
that.
Made a hard turn in my life. And when I found it, I was in college and I was driving my little Jeep up to school to the library to fuck around and not write some paper I was supposed to do, man.
Right.
And I was listening to the school radio station, and my buddy Baldy ran it. He just played that, and I heard the very beginning of it. And I like sat out in my car. It's like moments I don't even know if someone could do that now because of the way music is consumed. But I heard the very beginning of it. I don't know, it's probably an hour and a half long. And I just sat out there in that Jeep underneath a streetlight and listened to the whole thing and just like smoke cigarettes.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh man, dude. And it's like, dude, even that, I think that smoking cigarettes is not good. Right. But I think that the absolute right thing for me to do at that moment was listen to Townes Van Zandt, and somehow me lighting up cigarette after cigarette made it better and more impactful. Yep. And
that's funny that thing you're talking about of the we call that like going to the Funyuns, like when you're like abandoning your like clean living and shit. You know? But that we were talking about cigarettes last night, and like in my early years, like in New Orleans, sitting on that balcony, smoking a Camel filter, was like one of the best things in the world, you know. And it was romantic. It was like romantic. Yeah. It was this whole idea of live fast, die young, you know, and just having that thing. And then like we were talking about when American Spirits came, I was like, these are health food cigarettes. These are good. These are good for you.
Yeah. No, it's still bad. It's still bad, man.
No, I mean, they'll kill you. Well, but what they do though, what I got rid of them was they diminished my ability to go ski mountaineering. Yeah. Or to elk hunt. That really happened. I bought a bunch of drum, and I was hand rolling drums during hunting season. And I actually bought the tobacco as kind of a spiritual thing, like for hunting and like the Native American tradition, whatever, which I don't really know what that is, but you know. Yeah. And I started just like power smoking these drums, you know. And then I killed this mule deer, and I was hiking up there, and I was like, whoa. Like some, I've really cut back on my airspace here. My VO2 max is going way down.
That drum too. I remember because I used to roll drum back in college, and I remember having to switch to smoking something with a filter because I was waking myself up from coughing. Yep. Because when I laid back, it would all settle on me. Yeah.
And you hit them just as hard. Yeah. There's some, and then when I was sawing, an incredible thing was you're thinning timber, right? and you get paid by the acre, and you'd run a tank of gas, and then you would stop and roll a cigarette, fuel back up, kick back and smoke that cigarette, and that would, in the end of the day, like that's really starting to cut your wind.
Yeah, they stack up.
Yeah.
What I really had to do with them was I had to reach the realization that it was just something that I was never going to be able to have in balance. Like I couldn't drink a couple beers and smoke a few cigarettes every now and then. Like if I started lighting them up, I was going to smoke. So I just can't ever smoke one again.
Yeah, that's me too. The idea of control is not there.
Yeah,
I told you that story. I was writing that chapter in my gun book about Ned Christie. He was an Oklahoma Cherokee outlaw.
Yep.
He never got taken. He was in like dozens and dozens of gun battles with U.S. Marshals. And him and Ezekiel Proctor would go out and they would smoke and the sun would come up. And they weren't like full-time outlaws by any means. They had a farm and a gunsmith shop and a sawmill. They wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
And anyway, they would smoke and like plan out the day. Proctor was his best friend and another incredible gunfighter. And I started like, man, that's such great. And I'd buy cigarettes and I'd just smoke one, early in the morning. And then you like coming home at 10 from this office, hiking across town, got to get another one, and then after supper, you're going to get another one, and then have a couple beers and have another one. And you're it's totally gone.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to, if I sat in this office and I allowed myself a cigarette, I would just be in here smoking and drinking black coffee. But it's, man, I want to reference something that you just brought up. You're talking about those outlaws, because we talked last night about we were talking specifically about like the Cache River, and when in Arkansas, when the Corps of Engineers tried to straighten the Cache River, and the reason they had to abandon it was because them good old boys down there didn't want it. They didn't want to lose what they had.
Right.
And the same way that I hear you talk about these rivers up here, right, and these watersheds up here, man, like the Cache and the White and the bayous in Arkansas are just as important and impactful to the people that live down there. And these might be people that I wouldn't let me step foot in their house, whatever, right?
Right.
But there's something I appreciate about the fact that what they did was they just burned up all that equipment until those folks couldn't get insurance on it anymore,
right,
and they had to stop the project. And they protected something by being outlaws and by committing crimes, but I guess because I like the outcome, I'm all right with the crime.
I get it too, and I don't know where I don't think you ever know where that line is. I was doing when I was in Alabama. God, I was going to tell you about this Fort Gadsden that they're doing. They're doing an archaeology on the Apalachicola River.
Okay,
but at Fort Gadsden was the Brits had armed this fort to mess with the United States after the War of 1812. Okay. They left them all kind of armaments and stuff. And the guys who showed up there was a guy named Francis the Prophet. He was a Creek Indian. And then people don't know this, but we had our own, what Jamaican Maroons were?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had our own Maroon community.
Yeah, lots in Florida.
Yep. And the majority of them went to Fort Gadsden at one point to stage a real war, right? And this was with the Red Stick Creeks, who were influenced by Tecumseh, and they just said, we're not doing this anymore. We're not going to have plantations. We're not going to be capitalists. We're not selling. Francis the Prophet hated the domestication of animals. It was one of his things. He was a revelator, right? He had visions. And he burned his house and his store. And he moved down to Fort Gadsden to take part in the war. And eventually he was killed. But they weren't doing it. They were people who said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to assimilate. We're not going to let you you cut down all the trees, right? We're not going to do it. And those Cache River people were the same. And there's something admirable about that.
Yeah, but so again with the balance, the flip side of that is, do you know much about like the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot and shit, man?
Not a lot, but yeah.
Well, they were trying to force this complete agrarian return.
Yep. Year zero.
Yeah. I mean, to where there wasn't even it wasn't even systemic. Like, it wasn't like the pogroms in Soviet area Russia.
Right.
It was if you were a doctor, they killed you. If you wore glasses,
he killed the ballet, the Cambodian ballet.
Do you know that they killed? So that country had a population of 4 million people, and by the time Pol Pot was done, it was 2 million people. They killed like 50% of the human beings that lived in that country with no real end.
Right.
Like, there was nothing to get back to.
Right. Well, I think in any time, and this goes for the United States of America right now too, anytime you think that you're going to turn the clock back to some mythical golden age, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
That shit don't work, and it doesn't happen. And human beings do not go back to anything ever. You might do that on an individual basis, but you're not. It's like the same river twice, right? You're not the same person, so it's not going to be the same. But you don't go back. You have to go forward into whatever it is. Now, you can navigate that. You can guide that.
You can make a lateral move, probably.
Yep, yeah. You can make a lateral move. And you could even go to war for a better future. But you can't go to war to return to agrarian paradise. That's not going to work.
Well, and that's only that's that grass is greener on the other side shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what starvation is because the rains didn't come.
Right.
You know
right.
What I mean?
That's right. When there's a thing, Hemingway, I think it's in not A Farewell to Arms. It's the one about the Spanish Civil War, and he's with that guy. He's a peasant. He's in the rebels. They're against Franco, and the guy's telling him, he goes, "Man, when we win," which they didn't, right? They lost, but he said, "We're going to have to kill so many of these people." He was like all excited. He goes, "We're just going to have, in order to get the future that we want, in order to get a better future, we're just going to have to get rid of all these people." It's and the Hemingway character is like, he's kind of like he doesn't like that.
Yeah, because
the dude's excited about wiping out people that he doesn't like.
Well, I mean, look at the French Revolution, right? And Robespierre.
Yep.
2.5 years later, that shit turned around, man. And he was over with.
Yep. Nobody was ever free enough for Robespierre. Yeah. That's my favorite quote.
Dude. He's I've been working on this. I've been working on this remodel, and what I've been doing is there's a really cool there's a YouTube channel. It's called like People Profiles.
Okay.
And it'll be, it might be an hour and 15 minutes long, like each episode, and it'll just be in it. There's a little color added to it because the guy reading it is like this cool British voice, but it'll be just great, interesting people from history. And so it started. I was kind of going down this weird hole with like despots, right? Mm-hmm. And then that filtered off. So it's not just like Pol Pot and Hitler and Stalin. Then it's like the subsequent people. It's Goebbels and Himmler.
Yeah.
And then that pops you over to like Idi Amin and like all that shit. And it's really fantastic to just listen to that.
I bet.
In long form while you're, while I'm like tearing down walls.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things, like especially like Idi Amin, is this shows you the links to which the logical extrapolation of people's like will to power, mm-hmm. like the Nietzschean will to power, and people liked Idi Amin when he was young and he was a boxer.
Yeah.
He was a very interesting person.
The colonialists loved him, and they like, even with his penchant for violence, they kept like promoting him and stuff, right?
Yeah, until he made him call him the conqueror of the British Empire. Remember, he put CBE on top of his name.
He put all sorts. He put all sorts of stuff. It's like not Kim Jong Un. Is that the one who's in now?
I think so.
Was it Kim Jong Il, the one before him?
Yeah.
But whatever, man. He's got some. He's got it in the North Korean zeitgeist that he invented the burrito.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
What an insane thing to put on there. Like,
right.
I invented the burrito in 1983.
Right. That's awesome. And everybody has to agree. Idi Amin made everybody win, let him win at soccer and stuff.
Dude, imagine how terrifying. That's the thing about not knowing where there's a guideline. there was that guy Eamon Goth, who was he was a dude that Ralph Fiennes played in Schindler's List. That monster. He was the commandant of Auschwitz,
gotcha.
right? And I watched an interview with in that movie they talk about, like, he's got this it's like, I mean, slave, like, housekeeper lady.
Yeah.
And she survived, and she talks about how in the face of all the barbarity, I mean, as awful as human beings have ever behaved, what was one of the most difficult things to endure was that there was no right answer. There was no way to avoid. Like, he would just wake up and he'd go on his balcony and he'd shoot people.
Right.
There was no way to not offend. There was no way to be innocent. And to deal with a person, that might be one of the most dehumanizing experiences someone could have, which is there's no right way to exist.
Right.
There's no way to make it safe for you.
Right.
Deplorable as the behavior you might have to engage in might be, like, you can't even guarantee your existence.
Right. Yeah. That's an absolute power, that doesn't work out well.
Yeah. And it's, dude, all of that stuff. Now, what was positive is I did like my 1 week listening to just like the monsters of humanity.
Yeah.
And then that took me into other stuff, Boudica and
yeah, that movie. There's this weird kind of campy old movie. It's in color about Boudica, and it's a freaking great movie. I saw it like late night one time when I was a kid, and that movie it's awesome, and that's an incredible story.
Dude, really interesting. Joan of Arc, fascinating.
But one of the things we were talking about, and this goes back to like West Africa and history in the United States, is like and current events in the United States. If you're not unified, somebody's coming for your stuff.
Yeah.
And that Boudica story was in that movie, I don't know what the real history is. I know there's a statue of her on the Thames River,
Yeah.
But she rode around to all the Celtic bands, and she just said, we have a single enemy in Rome, and we have to stop killing each other and selling each other out. And then they were able to make that stand, right? And they burned London.
Well, you know what? So when she went around and she rallied everybody, so she had like some position, and then the Romans, they assaulted her 2 daughters in front of her.
Yep.
And she took her daughter.
In order to bring her to heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To break her. And she took her daughters around with her, and she said, look at, and she said, look at what they're doing to our children, to our daughters.
Right.
And like, I think that was one of the ways that she kind of like cemented it.
Yeah.
And she ultimately ended up not being successful, right? Like, she died.
They made another stand after they killed everybody in London. The Legion, the people went back and they brought, and I can't remember who the general was, but he wiped her out. Yeah. But he was so impressed with their performance on the battlefield that he wrote it all down. And so we have the record because of their impressive performance on the battlefield.
Yeah, she's considered like a modern day British hero.
Yep.
Which is so interesting, because then they're revering this person that fought against the colonization of the British Isles, and then they became the greatest
colonizing force ever.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah. You would. I'm gonna work on this for this chapter about the Apalachicola National Forest, but that Fort Gadsden was interesting. I'm trying to get this woman who's the archaeologist there on the podcast, but they had one of the guys, and I'm spacing his name out now, but he was he was in 104 different engagements. He had one eye. He was like totally debilitated by his life as a warrior. And he was this ferocious abolitionist. And that was part of what drove his desire to run Fort Gadsden and keep it going. Because, of course, that was Spanish territory then. And anyway, there's a town in the Bahamas called Nicholstown. And they're the descendants of the people that Nichols is this guy's name, got out of their own ships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just believed that the American institution of slavery was like he was in the early anti-slavery stuff on the coast of Africa, but he just thought that this was an evil that he personally could help to by arming the Maroons and by shipping people out down the Appalachian River. And some of them ended up in Trinidad, but the ones that named the village after him are in the Bahamas.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. What it blew my mind was that there were lots of people of conscience at that time. And I was telling you, I was in Macon County, Alabama, and there were like all these letters going like, I don't think we should do this. I don't think we're going to win this war.
Yeah.
Like there were lots of people. And,
at least just self-aware enough to know.
Yeah. And then people like Nichols who honestly saw it for what it was, you know. And so in every time there are people who are people of good conscience that see it. I mean, I'm sure in the French Revolution there were people going like, whew, that Robespierre, I don't think this is going to end well.
Yeah, this is getting gnarly, man. Whenever you have to start, when you have to just start destroying people, to solidify your position, man, like it's an inherently shaky structure you're building it on, right?
That's right,
and that will eventually fall down on top of you,
right?
It's why I'm so. I feel like I'm just conditioned to be fearful of totalitarianism. Yep. And even if it seems like it's working out for me, like it ain't going to work out for me for long.
It never has.
Yeah.
There have like I was listening to Bill Gates when he came back from China. This was like 15, 16 years ago. And he was like, well, they can really get stuff done over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet they can.
And I was just like, oh no. like you're a mile deep and an inch wide, dude. Mm-hmm. You know. I was like, yeah, they could really get stuff done. I mean, Stalin really got stuff done too. Yeah. You know, so did Pol Pot for a while.
Sure.
I mean, good Lord.
I mean, that whole Stalingrad shit, you know, they talk about the Russian winter. What really won that was inexhaustible troops. Yep. You know what I mean? Conscription service and sending 100,000 people to just get waylaid.
Keep
and you got another 100,000. Yep. And, you know, the quote unquote equality too, like, Stalin wasn't messed up about it, man. He sent 50,000 women down there. Yep. You know, like stuff no one else was doing. Right. He's like, nah, man, like we will wear you out. Yep.
And they did.
Yeah. Yeah. At tremendous cost.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We go back to, I was talking years ago. This was with Anthony Bourdain did that show up here. And he was telling me that Russia was the most inscrutable place that he had ever been, because you have like the poet Akhmatova, you have Tolstoy, you have Proudhon, you know, the anarchist theorist. He said you have the heights of like intellectual achievement and stuff, and then you just have this like kind of brutality too. Same place, same people, same DNA, you know. And I was just fascinated by that, and I got interested and started reading more. And like if you read the 900 Days, you know, the account of the siege of Stalingrad. Okay. I mean, they ought to have a big stamp, you know, do not fuck with me, like a tattoo. Yeah. You know, because it's like it just goes on and on and on. It's just, and it's fascinating to me. It really is. I'm sorry what they're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a waste of their talents.
You know, man, it's and it's going to have very, very, very long standing ramifications.
We don't even know what they are yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't even really imagine. It's weird to think though, that like that, you know, people have always been coming for Ukraine.
Yep. It's got the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a book, it's by this Englishman, Fred somebody. It's called The Land Grabbers. And this was back in a much more peaceful time, like early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Not peaceful for us in the Middle East, but globally there was less going on. And he was talking about the people who are buying land in the world, right? The Chinese had acquired Smithfield Foods in America. Yeah. And then the Saudis they knew they had the desert, right? And they wanted to buy. They're cash rich and dirt poor. Mm-hmm. And one of the places they were buying was Ukraine. It's like they had identified the bread baskets, mm-hmm. and they were investing there. And he wasn't saying this is something bad. Like, it's just, this is what it is, right? That's dirt. You got dirt. You got adequate rainfall. Somebody needs it.
Well, do you know who the largest private landowner in the state of Arkansas is?
Who's that?
Bill Gates.
Well, is that farmland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really, really, really productive.
Delta.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
That's it's wild. And I think so. The other one was down in Paraguay where they were like opening up the new like soybean world.
mm-hmm.
In southern Brazil and Paraguay, and they were just, it's an international commodity.
Well, it's also a way to, you really start looking at it, that Game of Thrones quote, like I try and imagine like what someone's worst intentions could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've like this wealth that, I guess Mansa Musa actually had more wealth, but like other than him, the greatest collection of wealth that's been held by a few people, right?
Right.
And what do you turn that into as far as like a means of power? You lock up water and arable land, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then, you get, you can do anything with those two things.
Yep.
More important than fuel.
Yep, by far. Because we don't live without it.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
That's that John Jeevons quote is all of our arrogance, our artistic endeavors, whatever beautiful and ill, rely on the fact that there's 4 inches of topsoil and the fact that it rains.
Mm.
That's why they're in the Ukraine.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
They put everything else on it, but yeah. And it's always been like that breadbasket of that area.
Yeah.
The Ottoman Empire was deep in there,
Yep.
Really very fascinating place. The more I've kind of looked at it, just historically super, super fascinating.
Yeah. It's been well, somebody told me years ago about the aftermath of World War II. Somebody said, if you can walk there, somebody's on his way.
Yeah.
And you're connected by land to every like major freaking conquesting power on earth.
Mm. Yeah, and you're right. If they can walk there,
except for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably part of our ability to get Americans' ability to get to the level of power was that oceanic isolation.
It's all it is. It's huge. It's huge.
We would not have been we wouldn't have been allowed to get to the point that we were at if folks could get at us quicker.
No. Well, we'd have had a lot more to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd have folks on multiple fronts.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Look at how quick the Germany took over France.
Yep. Because you can walk there.
Quick.
Yep.
It's like a matter of days, and they're at the Eiffel Tower.
Yep.
Like the wildest stuff ever.
And they'd done it before, like during the Prussian War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. I was. What really happened, man, was like the Ukraine situation started, and so that's how I got on all that despot stuff. But then just kind of researching the history of like where all this stuff came from, just the last 100 years of European history.
Yeah.
And really wild how quick stuff can just be completely upended.
Yep.
And what really grinding somebody, what the result is, like just beating somebody down. Like if you look at the Treaty of Versailles, how you would say it, and the prohibitions, like what France and Great Britain, how they punished Germany for World War I.
Mm-hmm.
That directly led to the Third Reich.
Yep.
Because they beat them down to
humiliation
where it built the resentment was palpable.
Yep, a humiliation of a proud people, and they were people who had come out of the 30 Years' War, so they were pretty intensely warlike. Right, that like they had a lot of the chaff was winnowed away.
Yeah,
probably too much, almost like Sparta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They referenced it. The Third Reich referenced that a lot.
Sparta.
Yeah. And yeah, I just think I think as a practical matter, it's dangerous it's dangerous to just try and dominate people.
Yeah.
Like it never works out.
One of my favorites is like I was doing this research on Audubon, John James Audubon,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the the reason he got to Florida was the Haitian Revolution, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his people were in Haiti, and when Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines and them took over and got rid of all the French slave owners, they were ejected from. He got away. He was a child, a little child, and so he ended up living in North America. But that changed everything too. They were pushing. The French were they were pushing that. They powder kegged Haiti with brutality, and then, buddy, they got paid back. Yeah, hard. And I remember,
that's not necessarily meaning. I do want to clarify this. That doesn't necessarily mean that the response is righteous. Correct. Obviously, when we're talking about Germany, it was monstrous. It's just that it seems to be there will be a response.
There will be a response. You're tapping the powder down. You're hitting the powder with a hammer in the pipe.
Yeah, it's safer to just regularly let the steam off of stuff.
Yep. And also, we human beings can't do it, but it's also nice to honor your brother and do the golden rule and shit, and then nobody has to chop anybody's head off.
Yeah.
At least in the short term.
But there's always somebody that just can't
do it.
They just it's what I've wondered. I mean, dude, Bezos money, Elon Musk money, there's no part of me. If I got a fraction of that, you would never see me again.
Dude, we're doing this corner crossing podcast tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And the man who owns that land is a billionaire who owns 51 square miles.
My God.
And this used to be called at this Leo Sheep Company. It was they had this Safari Club thing. Not the Safari Club International, but they called it the Safari area.
Okay.
It's like the best hunting ever, right? And this dude is obsessed with the fact that 4 guys from Missouri stepped across a corner of public land to access another section of public land within his 51 miles.
Yeah. And you're actually talking, if you really reduce that down, you're talking about infinitesimally small.
I can't believe it. But it goes, if you go back through this history stuff, people have always done that. Like people who, I consider them the hungry ghost.
Ooh.
You know that idea where there's nothing can fill the hole, right?
Yeah.
You have an insatiable hunger for X, Y, or Z. And it's like you go to the mat, and often these people, this is their downfall, not necessarily in this case, but that they just simply couldn't abide 4 guys on public land hunting within their 51-mile fiefdom. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's got to be a wholly unsatisfying way to live a life. And I also think that you might be inclined to think that this is how someone is, right? But I think it's also the result of power. It's very few people get power and don't either want more of it or want to maintain it.
Right.
Almost no one gets power and then steps away from it.
Right. In that, and let's go back now to the United States of America, right?
Okay.
Who in the world has a successful revolution against a major colonial power, fights a knockdown, drag-out war, and then writes a constitution which limits your powers completely?
Yeah.
Like this is a once in a lifetime gig, dude. I mean, once in a millennia deal. The United States of America, for all of its fallibility, for all of our failures and our atrocities, it's a once in a millennium deal. I mean, who does that and writes a constitution which limits the power that you have taken?
Well, yeah, it's just also, to be fair, the people that were making those new rules were setting up a system that worked really well for them.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was still a
imperfect.
Yeah, I mean, they were still creating an American aristocracy. Correct. They were just the ones on on top.
Right.
So I mean, I don't want to over romanticize it, but I think
it's pretty amazing.
The potential involved in it is what's so amazing to me.
Yeah.
Just the potential. And most people fall short of their potential.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Micro and macro scales, but having potential is so amazingly special, because I feel that's potential is the most human thing, and it's the limiting of someone's potential is the most monstrous thing.
Yeah.
And you can limit someone's potential with social disadvantages, with physical incarceration, just microaggressions, beating somebody down, anything.
Yep.
But it's not allowing someone to reach their full potential, self-determined potential is the most evil thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And you can do it just by destroying somebody, killing somebody.
Right.
That's what's that line from that movie Unforgiven? You know what I'm talking about with Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, funny thing about killing a man, you kill everything they are and everything they possibly could be.
Wow.
Dude, and that's a
great line.
a hell of a great movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie.
I'm here to kill you. What do you say? I'm here to kill you, little Bill, for what you did to my friend.
Yeah.
God, that's a good movie.
And then they go, "Are you the same William Money who blew up the so-and-so railroad train, killing innocent men, women, and children?" And he goes, "I am.
I'm here to kill you." Yeah. Murder of women and children. Gene Hackman going off on him, and I'm here to kill you. Yeah. Oh, dude, that movie is so damn good. Dude, Clint Eastwood kind of got weird here in the last few years, man. But God, I love that guy, man.
Yeah, he still got it.
He's got, dude, and some of his quotes, like I say buzzards got to eat, same as worms, all the time. It's so, that movie Hang 'em High, where he like paints that town red.
Yeah, and
dude, that movie is like a weird Western acid trip, man.
Yeah, High Plains Drifter too,
dude.
And then my old man my father loved Two Mules for Sister Sarah.
Yeah,
it was just a movie he loved. He was like, "You got to see this movie. You got to see it." That was about before VCRs or anything, right?
Yeah.
And eventually got to see it. It's pretty good. It's wild. It's bizarre.
There's those old Westerns. I mean, I've talked about it before. They're so influential to me. Have you seen The Red-Headed Stranger?
Yes.
With Willie Nelson, man?
Oh, yeah.
That's, dude, he wrote, who was his wife in that movie was Morgan Fairchild.
Uh-huh.
And, dude, he he's this preacher, and his wife runs off with this Eastern guy, and he just kind of gives it up, and he, like, rolls up on him in a bar and sees him, and there's just a moment of recognition, and it just blows him away.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be nice to do in real life, but as far as just an American vigilante vehicle, it's great, man.
What now? The something is over and the killing's begun.
Yeah, and that's the
first album I ever bought,
dude. And that soundtrack, yeah, man. Willie Nelson. He's a special. He could only come from America.
Yep. And he was wild too. But he's a really gentle person.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about, I guess I was 11 years old, maybe 10. And I was up late at night in our playroom, which was before we lived out in the country. And so I would have been 9. And the Red-Headed Stranger advertisement was running on late night TV.
Yeah.
No video, no nothing. Just a picture of Willie Nelson and the album.
Mm-hmm. And
I went to the store and bought it.
That's awesome.
It was a Magnavox store that sold, LPs.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the first album I ever bought. And the second one was Waylon and the Outlaws, which had Willie on it, right?
Yeah.
And Tom Paul Glazer. But that album was the first one, and I played it like over and over and over again. The Red-Headed Stranger.
Dude, yeah.
It works on so many levels.
It's a cool cover to that record, too, man. I had a buddy in college that had that record, because it's got like, if I remember, it's like his face, like kind of framed. And,
yep, that's it.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Oh, Willie. I was talking to someone about Willie Nelson and that guitar of his Trigger. And that
it's called Wore Out.
Yeah, which I love. He's got that hole, and you can trace it through the years, him wearing it down. I mean, he's not really a great guitar player, and he just attacks that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But someone called did you ever watch any of the Harry Potter stuff or read those books?
I have not. My daughter certainly did, and my son.
So someone said there's this idea that there's this like evil guy in those stories that
Voldemort,
yeah. And the way he makes himself invincible is he takes pieces of himself and places it within objects, and they're called his Horcruxes. And so you can't kill him without destroying all the Horcruxes.
Gotcha.
Right? And this dude was telling me, he's like, that guitar is Willie Nelson's Horcrux.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if anything ever happens to that, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. You like disappear like dust.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's linked. He's linked to it.
That's cool.
Well, shit, man, this has been a good long podcast. Ooh, man, we're approaching. I think I've got one podcast that's a little bit longer than this, but
well, I've had a good time.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I could keep doing it, but those 2 pots of coffee we drank are telling me I need to stop.
Yeah, I got it too. I'm doing Snake River Dams interviews, and I'm brushing up on Snake River Dams right now.
Yeah. You got stuff to do. I need to drive to Missoula and I guess rendezvous. Today's, I think. Yeah, people are there now, and then
it's
it'll
starting
really
to show up. I got that's what that call I had this morning. I don't know who it was, but that's where they were from. They were showing up there.
Yeah, I need to go find a spot away from the bonfire because I can't be listening to hooting and hollering too close.
No, you're in the van, man.
Yeah.
That's right up against the hooting and hollering.
Oh, I thought you could get away a little bit.
You can. Plus, there's a world of camping around there too. If you got like we used to go to Mardi Gras, you know.
Yeah.
And I had an apartment uptown, and that was the best thing. That's the best way to do Mardi Gras on the face of this earth would be to take the streetcar or walk 40 blocks to the unbelievable mayhem. And then when you got wore out, you take the streetcar or walk 40 blocks back to your apartment.
Yeah.
And be completely cool and silent.
Dude, I mean,
that's the way to do rendezvous too.
Honestly, what I might need to do is when I decide it's time for me to bed down, just drive 30 minutes outside of Missoula and just find. I've been digging this sleeping on the side of the road because out west they've got all these big wide spots because you'll be out in the middle of nowhere with no signal for so long. I'm sure lots of people like truckers got to pull over and whatever.
Right.
So you can get like a wide spot. You can be 40 feet off the road.
Right.
And it's like pitch black out there, man. And if anybody does come through, they're not worried about some guy in a van. And some of the best sleep I've gotten in a long time.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I switch into my sweatpants, man. I get all comfy, and then I get under my blankets and sleep great, man.
Yeah.
And then wake up with that early sun. I dig that sun being up. At 5 o'clock, it's daylight.
Yeah. That's why I was telling you to move that thing this morning because everybody else starts moving in the summer around here.
Yeah.
They start moving 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in Idaho yesterday, I was like looking for a cup of coffee, and I stopped at this little stand, and shit was going.
Yep.
Right? And I look at the lady, I'm like, hey, are we on Pacific time or Mountain time here? Because I just been driving, whatever. And she's, we're on Pacific time, right, with that little accent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so it's 5:47? And she's like, yeah. And I'm just like looking around, like sun's up, just starting to be traffic.
Yep.
I was like, dude, you can get a good long day in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, well, man, so appreciate you. If folks want to, you've got the BHA podcast, so like if folks want to keep up with you, where do they go to?
BHA Podcast and Blast. I've got some stuff at Field and Stream. My website's halherring.com. It's got my old, like 25 years of journalism on it. Yeah. And, like the movie we did on public lands with Patagonia, that's called Public Trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm proud to be a part of that.
You're kind of like the driving force in that, too.
I'm the talking head. Yeah. Or the foil. But I had a blast doing it. We went everywhere from the Arctic to like southern Utah to New Mexico. It was a great experience for me. I have no doubt. I'm glad I threw in with that, and then I'm just running the podcast and doing some other stuff and working on this book.
When do you anticipate the book coming out?
I don't know when it's going to come out, but I need to have something definitive turned in within the next 10 months.
Okay.
And that definitive meaning a big block of stuff so that I can then write a conclusion.
So we're a year and a half, 2 years out, you think?
Yeah.
Probably?
Yeah.
Well, something to look forward to. Well, until then, I assume that Hal will be wearing out a pair of boots. Remember that we're in God's pocket.
Yeah, right on. Well, I just got back. I got home in time to go do some long backcountry ski, couple of long backcountry ski trips. And I don't know about, we've been around here there ain't nothing. It's just what I do. I fish for catfish on the Missouri. Here in another 3 weeks, I'll start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We elk hunt, mule deer hunt. It's a lifestyle that I have been involved in since I was about 9 years old, and I've never worn out my enthusiasm for it.
Well,
I've worn out a shitload of boots.
It's endless, though, right?
It's endless.
Keep turning. Have you killed a turkey before?
No,
dude. Yeah, man. We got to get you on. It would resonate with you in the communicative nature of it.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm going to break you off some of that turkey meat before I get out of here.
Okay.
Man, because it's also such a rad change of pace from all that red meat.
Yeah.
And it's there's no learning curve with it.
Yeah.
Right. It's just super familiar, man. Dude, like a little cutlet, man. I made some cutlets the other day with some morels.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, people ask me that a lot because I grew up in Alabama.
Yeah.
But in my part of Alabama, the turkeys were gone. And now they're back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I left there when I was 25 in 88, 89. And there wasn't any turkey hunting in Madison County or Jackson County.
It was probably about, you left when it was about to turn.
Yep.
And then it was 15, 20 years of just unbelievable turkey hunting. And now it's in the Southeast, it's starting to
turn back.
Take a dip, man.
Yeah.
But, Alabama's heart of southern
it was
turkey
southern
culture,
turkey hunting.
Man.
And over all that South Alabama. And then, man, I mean, I witnessed the return of the Wisconsin whitetail to Alabama too. When 1975.
Oh,
so,
do they have to bring deer down from there? Really?
Yep.
And now is Alabama? I can't remember if
Georgia.
Is it one a day?
Yep.
Can you kill one a day? Yeah.
Yep.
All season long. There's some dude that kills 100 deer every year.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and I remember. So, but one of the I got to go too. But one of the things that happened there was an old rabbit hunting beagle culture, and when the whitetails got reestablished, the beagles had never been deer trained, right?
Yeah, and
they're the best thing to chase. You're a beagle, you got rabbits. Rabbits are great, but look at this thing, right?
Sure.
So the beagles would just disappear. I picked up a beagle as a little kid whose paws were completely worn off. Down to the blood. He had run himself. He was such a hot dog, right? He's he was the real thing, and he couldn't stop. And we picked him up and rehabbed him. He had a collar on, gave him back to the people.
Yeah, I've seen them just on a day hunt. Their noses and their tips of their tail will get bloody just from because they're going through all them briars and all that crazy stuff, man. And they're unaffected by it. They're driven so much by that desire.
Fire, man. I love it.
They're cool critters, and they're little, and I mean, they're about as big as a raccoon, man.
Yeah, and they got to have short legs, otherwise the rabbit will go in a straight line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're
holy shit. That's a whole nother thing. I'd like to do more of that too.
That's fun, dude. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Come down to Arkansas, dude. There's opportunities to do it. You want to come catch? We go trot line for catfish, and I just wrote this article for Backcountry Journal, and it's about this father and son that are 2 doors down from my place.
Cool.
That's what they do is they run these beagles, man. And dude, it was so cool too because the dad on this dude Tony and Tony Jr., man, and the dad is this real kind of cool stoic dude, got a gold tooth. And just even the way he sits there and would stand and wait for the dogs to run a rabbit by, he just looked kind of G'd out, just this lean on him, man. But then he just pops up and this just super competent, and just grew up doing it. He might be he might be the third black dude I've ever seen that dipped. Like, like old black people will do snuff.
Snuff, for sure.
But like straight up just pulled up a dip and stuck it in his mouth, man. But even the way he did that was cool. It wasn't that old sloppy, just like slobber hanging out, man. He just, I don't even know if I ever saw him spit. He might have been so cool he just swallowed it. Who knows? But anyway, well, folks, thanks for listening. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening all the way through to this episode of the Black Duck Revival podcast. As always, it's produced by me, Jonathan Wilkins, and Brian Sachs. Also, per usual, if you want to follow what I'm doing or book a class or a hunt or a fishing trip, anything like that, take a look at some of the collected writings of one Jonathan Wilkins. You can most easily do that by going to blackduckrevival.com or following me on social media. Instagram is where I'm most active, and that handle is just Black Duck Revival. There's going to be some cool stuff happening this fall. We're going to do a couple different kinds of classes that aren't as hunting heavy and are designed to be a little bit more of an entry point for folks, maybe a little bit more accessible dollar bill wise, because, I mean, truthfully, waterfowl hunting can get expensive. So we're going to have some other cool opportunities, so stick around and you'll learn more about that in the coming weeks and months. Please tell somebody about this podcast. If there's one that you really like, posting it on like your IG stories, or just telling a friend or an acquaintance, an enemy even, that helps out tremendously, and it helps just keep this content in the public zeitgeist. So hopefully more people listen to it, and we can find a way to at least have it break even. We got to get to break even, right? All right, so thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.